Before you watch this video, please subscribe. The silent attendant. Rain continued to pour relentlessly as I walked back to my car, my clothes now drenched. The sound of raindrops on the roof seemed to echo the heavy silence that had settled over the gas station. The attendant's unmoving gaze haunted me, and I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was deeply wrong. As I settled back into my car, the feeling of unease intensified. The rhythmic drumming of rain on the roof seemed to merge with an otherworldly whisper, barely audible yet unsettling. I started the engine, ready to leave this eerie place behind. But my car's lights flickered and the engine sputtered. My heart raced as panic set in. I tried the ignition again, but the car refused to start. I glanced towards the store, half expecting to see the attendant's figure pressed against the glass, but the window was empty. The rain seemed to fall harder now, its incessant rhythm like a taunting reminder of my isolation. With trembling hands, I reached for my phone to call for help, but there was no signal. I was trapped, surrounded by darkness and the oppressive silence of the gas station. The rain had intensified to a torrential downpour, the droplets hammering against the windows like a relentless drumbeat. Desperation gave me a renewed burst of energy, and I stepped out of the car to check the engine. Rain soaked through my clothes, and the wind howled eerily through the abandoned station. The hood of the car revealed nothing out of the ordinary, but the silence seemed to grow heavier, pressing against me like an invisible force. Just as I was about to give up, a soft sound reached my ears. It was a whisper, carried by the wind and rain, barely audible yet distinct. My name spoken in a tone that sent a shiver down my spine. I glanced around, but there was no one in sight. The gas station was empty, save for the eerie glow of the lights. Fear gnawed at my insides, and I retreated back into the car, locking the doors. The rain showed no signs of letting up, and the gas station felt like a prison. Hours passed, marked only by the relentless rain and the occasional whisper that seemed to dance on the edge of my perception. Eventually, just as dawn was breaking, the rain began to subside. With a mixture of relief and trepidation, I turned the key in the ignition once more, and this time the engine roared to life. I wasted no time in driving away from that eerie gas station. The memory of the silent attendant's haunting gaze forever etched in my mind. The grinning attendant. During a late-night road trip, my car's fuel gauge dipped dangerously low as I found myself on a deserted highway. A sense of urgency gripped me as I desperately searched for a gas station. Finally, a lone station appeared on the horizon like a beacon of hope. I pulled in, the harsh glow of the fluorescent lights casting an unnatural pallor over the scene. The station's surroundings were in disarray, with broken signs and cracked pavement. A shiver ran down my spine as I stepped out of my car, the air heavy with an unsettling energy. I approached the pumps, the humming of the lights filling the silence. But as I started pumping gas, I noticed a figure in the window of the convenience store. The attendant's face was contorted into a twisted grin, sending a wave of discomfort through me. With a shaky breath, I finished pumping gas and walked towards the store. The bell above the door jingled as I entered, and the air felt charged with an eerie electricity. The shelves were haphazardly stocked, their contents seemingly frozen in time. I approached the counter, the attendant's unnerving grin still in place. I tried to ignore the unease crawling over my skin as I asked for the total. The attendant's lips twitched, but no words escaped their mouth. Their eyes remained fixed on me, unblinking. As I turned to leave, a soft chuckle echoed through the store, sending a shiver down my spine. I hurried out, the unsettling laughter ringing in my ears as I retreated to my car. I sped away from the gas station, the memory of the grinning attendant's haunting expression forever etched in my mind. The haunting reflection. One stormy night, my gas tank neared empty as I drove down a desolate highway. Rain lashed against my windshield, and lightning flashed in the distance. My heart raced as I searched for a gas station, relief flooding over me as I spotted one up ahead. The station's neon lights flickered in the storm, casting an eerie glow on the wet pavement. I parked by the pumps and stepped out, the rain soaking me within seconds. The gas station seemed deserted, but the lights in the convenience store were on. As I entered the store, the bell above the door jingled, and a shiver ran down my spine. The air was cold, and a musty smell hung in the air. The shelves were stocked, but the atmosphere was heavy with an unsettling presence. I walked down an aisle, the sound of dripping water echoing through the store. As I turned, I caught a glimpse of movement in the store's reflective surfaces. The windows, the glass doors of the refrigerators, even the shiny floor. My heart skipped a beat as I realized that I was alone in the reflection. Unease settled in as I hurried toward the counter, my footsteps echoing in the empty store. I called out, but my voice was met with silence. The lights flickered overhead, casting eerie shadows that seemed to stretch and twist. Just as I reached the counter, I caught a glimpse of movement in the reflection of a mirror. A figure stood behind me, their face obscured by darkness. Fear gripped me, and I spun around, but the store was empty. The figure's reflection moved closer, its presence chilling me to the bone. I stumbled back, my heart racing, and backed out of the store. Rain drenched me as I hurried to my car, the reflection of the figure still haunting my mind. I peeled out of the gas station, the memory of the haunting reflection forever etched in my thoughts. The storm raged on, and the gas station disappeared in the rearview mirror, its eerie glow fading into the night.